right, I'll try to be funny.
I don't know if you can. I really don't know if you can. She was looking at playing a hired gun character, possibly a marauder, not to divvy too far.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the exact same thing she was playing in the beginner game. But mostly because she liked hitting stuff with a giant melee stick and continuing to do
And
that.
also the thing she plays in every game.
Yeah, she's usually a fighter or a barbarian or whatever. But I got my No Disintegrations book handy to go see about Deveronians, but she has considered Wookiees, humans, and even droid hit people with a big stick characters.
What about Trandoshan?
Considered Trandoshan. I don't know if that's too far of a jump from her typical Wookieisms. I'll have to sell her on the lizard people. But she's,
They
she's
can hit people with sticks.
they can do that really good. I've seen it happen. But she's kind of fond of some of the art I've showed her for a few of the other races, whereas there's not too much happening lizard lady with a big stick art out there.
That is a true.
Yeah. But I'm gonna go look to see what fucking Devaronians get for their starting stats. Besides, do you need a Trandoshan in the party with a Shadra fan?
I mean, yes. Why not? It's
Uh,
not like I'm a Wookiee.
it's true. Um, what about Leah? Do you know what she was talking about race-wise? I think you mentioned something in chat last night, but I don't remember any of the conversations we had.
She's leaning towards human, but I'm really trying to push her to like look at the other options. I
Be a cool Star Wars race.
counted how many options there were, and there's like 60 species between all the books. And when she heard 60 species, she said, "Okay, I'll be human."
Okay.
So, like, I'm trying to show her some of the options that she might be interested in. So she might pick something else, but she might just take the easy choice of
She
being
was
human.
wanting like smooth talking, charmy smuggler? Question mark.
Yeah, basically, she wants to be Pash. She had fun being him.
Oh, you're judging my wife for wanting to be the character she played in the starter set, but
No, I wasn't judging. I was not judging. I
right.
was just saying she's easy to bet on.
Oh right, it's a good safe bet. I don't have enough desk space for this fucking book. We'll prop it up in front of the TV. Nobody told me there were books in RPGs.
Oh, for our wives, there may as well not be. We read all of it for them.
Here, hun, this is what you're gonna play. I'm gonna start building her a Deveronian, and if she doesn't like it, I'll just adjust the species on the back end.
All right, so how is there female Deveronian with the stick art?
I found decent female Deveronian art, and we'll just crop it so it doesn't matter if they have a stick.
Do they get a gore attack?
The females don't actually have big horns. They have those little like spots on their forehead where their horn should be, but they don't have horns like the males. They're
Okay, I'm looking at a picture of one now.
yeah, the special abilities they have is that they get survival or deception, and they are resistant to toxins, so they automatically get one success on any resilience check they make.
I would rather play a female Deveronian than a male. The spots look better than the horns.
Yep. Every single male picture is basically the same guy, too.
Yeah. I should show this to Leah. She might be interested in that. Of course, she wants to be a smooth talker, so maybe not.
I mean, they come with deception rank free.
I thought for sure she'd be all over the Twi'lek, but apparently not.
No, too stereotypical.
So then I started pushing towards the Space Otter.
Make her a droid. Smooth talking droid. Ashley got me these ginormous metal reusable straws because I've been going through plastic straws and putting a dent in the environment or something. So now I have these ridiculously large aluminum straws. I just saw myself on stream like,
You have
oh
to use
yeah.
pipe cleaners.
Yeah, it does come with a pipe cleaner.
Yep. I know what you're talking about.
We're going to give her a rank in survival. Nice brawn threshold of 11 plus, or wound threshold of 11 plus brawn and 10 plus on strain. And I will put the rest in on the second page. Alright, hired guns, athletic, brawl, discipline, melee, piloting, ranged light, resilience, and vigilance. What class were you doing? A bounty hunter gadgeteer?
Yes. Which I picked that before the Chadra fan, so I really was not trying to make Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah. It's just a random happenstance.
Chadra fan has the best stats, and they come with mechanics. It just works perfectly for what I want.
Okay.
I swear.
We got her 8 career skills. She doesn't have too bad of a spread even before spending stuff. Oh god, O'Neill's yelling in the other room. I like that the Marauder gets coercion.
Well, that makes sense, right?
It does.
Intimidation is basically what it is.
Have you looked at the talent tree for him?
I have looked at it, yeah.
I like that there's some abilities where you just, one of them's called Loom, I think. You just stand next to somebody who's making a deception, coercion, or charm check, and they get an automatic advantage just because you're standing
That's
there.
awesome. Just for being in the same room.
Yep. Well, you have to be engaged. You have to physically be looming over. Brawl is for unarmed and melee is for weapons.
Brawl is for non-lethal, and then
Okay.
melee is lethal.
Got it.
Like Brawl does strain, and then melee does wound.
I have like 74 tabs open, so I was too lazy to go open the skills reference.
I got you.
Thanks, fam. Should I give her a point of ranged light?
Nah. If anything, ranged heavy, right?
Yeah, she can have some resilience. Hey, I got a text from the guy who I was supposed to meet an hour ago. He just woke up.
What am I obligated to?
It depends on whether y'all want to do Beyond the Rim. Once I know what we're doing, I can help with that, but I can give you a no spoilers like concept of the beginning, and you can come up with some obligations for that. And then the book has examples of various obligations, like plot hooks.
Or I could just have the death sentence in 12 systems.
We're wanted men. Alright, I got my hired gun stuff. Marauder was coercion, melee, resilience, survival. A lot of the hired gun things just double down on shit they get from the original one, just allowing you to get 2 points into a lot of shit.
Yeah, I've noticed the specializations are like laser focused.
I haven't built too many characters in the system, so I haven't looked at too many of the specializations, so I'm curious of how much they play in. Like, do some people just pick a starting specialization, spend all their XP on bumping up skills and don't buy anything off the talent tree, and then later pick up a second one? Like, I'm really curious to see how not air quote level 1 gameplay goes.
Right. I mean, I know Leah's gonna have to invest in skills because, like, she's going smuggler pilot
Yeah.
or whatever it's called.
You end up splitting yourself between talking, flying, and other skills.
Yeah, like she's not gonna be able to shoot anyone.
I mean, you can shoot a little bit.
Well, exactly, but like, I I haven't built her character, so I don't know. But like, once we start building it, I'm gonna be wondering, like, between her spending points on piloting and then spending points on talking, what's gonna be left for combat?
Yeah.
And that might just be where she hides behind Ashley.
I like that all of you guys are going to be hiding behind like a 5 foot tall girl. Since she is not playing a Wookiee, she is not going to be ginormous.
I mean, I do have a brawn of 1, so there's that.
Just get punted. Survival allows you to identify safe food, potable water, shelter in a natural environment, understand weather patterns, track a subject through the wilderness, such as game or a bounty, and handle domesticated animals so that they can be used as beasts of burden or transport. Yeah, she's fine with 1 point in that.
Yeah. It's one of those niche skills. It'll be nice to have one time a campaign.
Yeah. We're going to put a finer point into vigilance, just because that comes into play for initiative and stuff. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I'm missing a skill.
Are you upgrading her stats at all?
I will be, yeah. Oh, I'm still missing 1 skill. I got my coercion, I got my melee. I just can't count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we're good. Time to spend some XPs. Oh, hey, Maddie, what's happening? I didn't see you had messaged over there. How much are you bumping up your base abilities compared to, like, buying into the tree?
So the book itself says that you should really spend starting XP on characteristics.
Right, because you can never get them again.
Right. So I was planning on basically spending all my XP on characteristics. But then Shiny Fire Fry said that it wasn't necessarily worth it. So I really don't know what to do now.
I feel like it's worth it to bump up a couple that you're going to use to a 3, but I don't think it's worth it to drop a full 40 into a 4. Because it's 10 times, right?
Yeah. So like I'm Brawn 1, I was going to leave it at 1. Like I don't care, I just don't want to get hit.
Yeah.
Agility and Intellect are 3, and those were the 2 I was planning on using most. Because mechanics and guns.
Yeah, so those are fine there.
Cunning is 2, which is average. I'm not going to use it that often. Willpower 1, presence 2. Again, wasn't planning on using them that often.
What all does willpower tie into?
It looks like vigilance, discipline, coercion. So I don't know. Maybe discipline would be good.
Maybe. So for hers, I'm going to bump up Brawn to a 3. She's got agility 2, int 2, cunning 3, will 2, presence 1. I don't really see her using presence, so I have no desire to bump that up. I would consider bumping agility up to 3, but I feel like other people in the party are going to be doing all the things that agility relies on. Like, I don't see her flying, with Rick wanting to be like a spaceship stealing hotshot ace, and Leah wanting to be Han Solo, smuggler, pilot.
Yeah. So we're going to have 2 pilots, which possibly end up with two ships later.
It's possible, and it's not always bad to have somebody else who can help with piloting things,
right,
especially
like
if one's astrogating and one's flying and stuff like that, so that one guy can be plotting the hyperspace jump while the other one is worrying about the TIE fighters trying to kill you.
Yeah, the only thing I could see her using agility for is maybe gunnery.
There's a cat attempting to try and climb out the window in my office, and Glass is better at life than he is. Well, I wanted to be his friend, but he ran away. I have the cat. Well, I have a cat now. This is just fun.
Congratulations. Is it everything you ever wanted?
Yep, I have a tail that randomly, like, flops into view on the camera. Right there. I think I'm gonna bump her brawn up to 3 and try really hard not to spend 40 XP bumping it up to 4. I think I'm going to use the other ones on skills.
Probably bump it up to 4 before I would bump up something else personally.
Yeah, so it's a... Do I want 40 XP worth of skills on her, or do I want 40 XP worth of I hit shit, that's what I do? Because bumping up Brawn to 4 is going to give her more hit points, and it's going to make her melee attacks just be 3 proficiency dice. Or wait, no. It would make it 2 proficiency and 1, whatever the fucking green ones are. 2 yellows, 2 greens.
Ability and proficiency.
Ability dice.
What is the opposite of boost?
Setback. Fuck it, yeah, we're going for Brawn. She's the builtest Deveronian lady you have ever seen. Giving me 25 XP to spend on skills. Oh, and I still haven't taken obligation, so.
Are you boosting your obligation?
Well, I haven't taken any obligation is what I'm saying.
Oh, you have to take 10. I doubled mine. My thought on that is that may end up causing strain, but it'll just be more fun for the story, so who cares?
I mean, that's why we're here to write the story, man. The story.
It's worth the 2,500 credits. Especially when you only start with 500. Seems like that's just enough to get a ticket off playing it.
For that much, we could buy our own ship to Alderaan. The one thing that I really don't like about the books is where it has like the species ability thing that tells you what all the characteristics start as and stuff like that. It doesn't say which species it is right there. So sometimes you're on a page and you're like, okay, this looks like a good species. Let me flip to the previous page to see what it is.
Right.
Because like...
The Chadra fan is exactly like that.
So I got the picture of the lady, but I have to flip to the previous page to be like, oh, okay, Deveronian. I can see the start of the Caloran chapter on the next page, but again, it's an entire page of lore, and then all the stats are on the next page without any mention of which race it is. That rant came from me realizing that I did not remember how to spell Deveronian and having to flip an entire page to see how to spell it. Also, I fucked up Marauder.
Marauder's a hard one. I'll give you that.
There's like some extra A's in there and stuff.
You throw in a U.
One of the gents whose stream I frequent is currently sitting in my stream and is chatting about stuff, and he asked, how's the system? I like it. It's weird. It has weird fancy dice and stuff, and it's odd when I take people that are like, I do a lot of recruiting board game players to start playing D&D, so I have to like Find people who are willing to play board games with them for a little bit, convince them to try D&D, and then teach them D&D. And then once I go like, okay, well
He's got a system,
let's
a recruitment system.
let's try another RPG now, and I try to move them into something like Star Wars. A lot of them are like, what? There's not numbers on the dice, and it can throw people for a loop sometimes, like with Rick in our first session. I don't know what these symbols mean. I know. Bear with me. Just think of them as pluses and minus and multiply and divide. And the axes are independent. You can have a negative outcome, but a multiplier to make it a good thing. And you can have a positive outcome, but the division dice to be like, okay, something bad's going to happen. So I like that, unlike D&D, you don't have simple pass-fail. In D&D, if the person was trying to jump a pit, it is very static. Jumping the pit takes a 12 athletics check. They roll a d20, and they either get one of two things. They get above 12, or they get under 12. They can either jump the pit or not jump the pit. But in Star Wars, you can have, okay, you're jumping the pit, and they roll all the dice, and they get success, but with a threat, or success with an advantage, or failure with threat, and failure with advantage. So you could have somebody who jumps the pit and succeeds, however, they roll a bunch of threat, and now something bad narrative must happen. So when they land, their impact hits with such an impact that the cliff starts crumbling on the other side, and while they're able to like tuck and roll and end up on the other side, the cliff face collapses and the pit is now 2 feet wider across. So the next person, instead of making a 2 difficulty die check, has to make a 3 difficulty die check. But at the same time, there could be advantages. They jump and land on the other side, and they find the controls to the bridge further down the canyon to let the rest of the party across easy. There's so much different ways it can go, and because of the narrative dice, it gets a lot more player involvement, I feel, than D&D can do sometimes, or any static system can do, because when a player fails a roll in a game like D&D or Pathfinder stuff, sometimes they fail. But in Edge of the Empire and the other Star Wars systems, or Genesis, which uses the same kind of rules, the moment they see that fail, but they have that advantage, the players immediately start spitballing ways that, they start throwing shit at you to be like, well, I may have failed, but I got this advantage, so I think that X, Y, and Z. And especially with players like Steven, you get a lot more like, well, I rolled an advantage. The R2 is clearly going to follow me, even though...
I'm a very charismatic guy.
You do recruit all the best Astrotech droids in every Star Wars game that I've played with you so far.
And character creation is very flexible as well. It's got a point-buy system similar to GURPS, but it's a bit more structured than that. But so far, I really enjoy it.
So many options. And like I was telling Rick, the great thing about the Star Wars system is in D&D, if you make a fighter, like you're a fighter. Later on, you can multi-class and take some levels in Wizard if you want to add some spells and stuff. But in this one, if you start out as a bounty hunter, there's nothing stopping you from, once you get some XP, taking a second specialization tree. So you're still a very good bounty hunter, and you're not stunting yourself on the bounty hunter side if you suddenly start taking talent trees for Ace from Age of Rebellion, and you can make yourself a really good bounty hunter pilot and be good at more facets of one thing instead of splitting yourself like a multi-class character in a lot of other RPGs.
Yeah, or you can just cover your weaknesses by getting extra skills that may not necessarily be your strength, but having a bit more a higher rank in those skills would allow you to cover your weaknesses without having to invest in the other specialization.
Yeah. And certain things are career skills, which are cheaper to get, and the non-career skills are a little more expensive. It kind of reminds me of D&D 3.5, where you had favored
Hmm.
skills or whatever it was called,
Cross
class
class.
skills and cross class skills. Yeah, that's it. But still, you can make the dumb as a brick brute Wookiee, and then be like, oh, well, I'm not really good at this, and just shore it up with a little bit of XP to get the skills for it. I also feel like this game is a little bit better about the a problem that I have with intimidation characters in D&D or Pathfinder. If you make a big brute intimidating fighter in D&D, usually you end up dumping charisma because that's not important to your character, but then you don't have the charisma to be intimidating. So you could be built like a brick shit house, carrying a
Right.
skull-shaped battle axe, and have a worse intimidate score than the wizard or the sorcerer. Nerd stuff.
I think that it's partly mitigated by the fact that stats go from 1 to 5, whereas 3 is actually high. It's above average.
Yeah.
So D&D, it takes a lot to get from 8 charisma to 18 charisma, whereas presence in this game is charisma. Having a 2 or 3 presence is a passable amount. So
Yeah.
you can still get by in social scenarios without having to put a lot of work into that.
Yeah, like her character right now has a 1 presence, right? So it's not going to be great at coercion or even intimidating. Uh, and she's the big I hit stuff with an axe character. Well, I have 25 XP left over, and for 20 of that, I can just bump the presence up to 2, and that's average. Like, suddenly she goes from sucking at a thing to being average at a thing in 20 XP. And if you remember from the beginner game, Steven, the first 2 encounters, like y'all did the bar and actually it was the first 3. You did the bar, the scrapyard, and the spaceport, and then you got 10 XP. And so,
Yeah.
like, you're halfway there. You're halfway to not sucking at a thing because you talked to a bartender, a scrap dealer, and a spaceport lady.
And the way skills work in conjunction with the characteristics means that being able to pump up the skill for, say, coercion, if you want to intimidate someone, it really helps mitigate having an average amount of presence as well.
Yeah. So I could spend 20 of my 25 XP to bump this presence up to 2, and then spend that final 5 to bump up uh, my coercion if I didn't have any ranks in it. Because what is it, 5 times the number of ranks?
Yeah, as long as it's a career skill, which I think it obviously is for Marauder.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, 5 times. And then cross-class skills are uh, more expensive. Have I told you how much I hate the default character sheet and why I started modifying it?
On PDF or Roll20?
The PDF. I dislike the Roll20 sheet as well, but I don't think that there's any ways I can modify it. Quick, how many credits do you start with?
500 until you bump up your obligation.
Thank you. Just realized I had my XPs in the wrong boxes. I have 25 more XP to spend, but I don't know what I want to put it in. She can just be a really damn resilient lizard. Or devil, I guess. Or can she can just be the, don't worry guys, I got all the points in vigilance, so we'll get that first PC slot. I'll go first, and I'll fix this problem real quick. Because that's what y'all were doing in the beginner box. Oh, one or two of the party gets to go first. We put the fucking hired gun and the bounty hunter up first. Fight over.
They're really good at inflicting conditions such as death on characters.
Yeah, and with the beginner box saying treat triumphs as an insta kill, it can get ridiculous. I ran it in person one time, and an extra person showed up. I was trying to only have 4 people because it was 4 characters. Well, an extra person showed up, and then I was just like, well, I'll pick one of the characters, and I'll just print out a second copy of it. And of course, they picked the bounty hunter. And so I had the Wookiee up front with the Vibro Axe, but then 2 Askaras in the back with their big damn blaster rifles. And so the Wookiee and the 2 bounty hunters would always go first, and it would just be like, the Wookiee murders a thing. The 2 bounty hunters, even if one doesn't kill it, the other one will shoot, and it'll be over.
So the other characters don't even have to go.
Yeah. Which was fine, because the person playing Pash was perfectly fine not ever talking, just walking in, or not ever shooting, walking in, doing a bunch of talking, and then going, oh, really? You're not going to give me the hypermatter reactor? Well, these 3 people have something to say to you, and then would just walk out of the fucking building and leave the Wookiee and 2 bounty hunters in there to be like, all right. And they murdered him.
That might end up being how Leah's character works.
Yep. And they murdered the shit out of him, and they hid the body. And then they stole stuff, because they were the real heroes, ladies and gentlemen. They weren't happy with just the hypermatter reactor. They took all of his stem packs and stuff too, and a couple of credits.
This is Edge of the Empire, all right? Not Force and Destiny.
Yeah.
We don't have to be the good guys.
You know what? I'm going to see if she wants any talents. So there's actually 3 rule settings, or 3 systems in the same rule setting, rather, Maddie. And it kind of depends on which type of campaign you want to play, but you can mix and match them fine because they're all the same system. There is Edge of the Empire, which is your Outer Rim, bounty hunters, smugglers, Han Solo, Boba Fett, like just scraping by, kind of like Firefly, keep the ship in the air feel. There's Age of Rebellion, which focuses on the conflict between the Empire and the Rebel Alliance, and so there's a lot more military grade gear, militarily trained skills and stuff like that, but you also get more spies and espionage type stuff. And then there's Force and Destiny, which has all of the Force sensitive and Jedi and Sith rules in it. Edge of the Empire and Age of Rebellion have little blurbs in the back of the book to let you know how to handle Force sensitive people within those games, but the Force is not a direct focus of them. Whereas in Force and Destiny, it's the forefront of the game.
And they softly encourage you to stick with one theme, mostly because it's easier for the game master to run that campaign, like with all Jedi or with all smugglers. But there's absolutely 0 penalty for using classes and characters from all three games.
Right. It helps with the game master, but it also kind of helps the players. If one person in the party is a rebel soldier who wants to do great by the rebellion, and one person in the party is a Jedi who wants to do Jedi stuff, but then 3 other people are a bounty hunter, a smuggler, and a saboteur mechanic, they're going to want to go like steal ships and blow stuff up, and the Rebel Alliance guy could have a little bit of impact to be like, okay, well, if we want to steal shit and blow stuff up, we should probably steal stuff and blow stuff up that belongs to the Empire. But then the Jedi guy might be in the back like, guys, what does this have to do with me? But a good game master can just like with any system, a good game master will make sure that there are arcs for each character to evolve, but the tone of the game can really set whether a person feels like they're part of the story or not. Like,
Yeah, to me, Empire Strikes Back is a great example of, you have Lando Calrissian as the smuggler, you have Han and Leia who are rebels, and then you have Luke who's the Jedi. And those three story arcs are all very conflicting in Empire. And a movie can pull it off, but it'd be very hard to do at an RPG game table.
yeah, it's fine that Luke went to Dagobah and had training montage, but in an RPG party, if you're like, okay, guys, I'll be back in 4 sessions, I'm gonna go do something
Yeah.
by myself. So like, the focus of the game that we're prepping for right now, I'm going to just run an Edge of the Empire module. But I opened it up for them to pull stuff from Age of Rebellion because I like a lot of the stuff in Age of the Rebellion. It's not going to be focused on the Galactic War. However, I trust that if they pick some of the stuff from Age of Rebellion, you can apply that to a person that has no ties with the Alliance, or like in the actual movies, the Alliance has a lot of people that are embedded into scum and villainy type places to hunt for resources, make contacts, do subterfuge, and disable Alliance or Imperial stuff like that. So if somebody wants to be an ace pilot, they don't have to play, Poe Dameron. They can still be a military trained ace pilot who then uses that to be an awesome pirate crew or whatever. And again, since the rebels love doing that, like guerrilla warfare against the Empire, a crew trying to avoid the Empire but has no problems raiding an Imperial base for supplies to keep their ship in the air is totally an Edge of the Empire feeling campaign, even though it's pulling people from Age of Rebellion.
And it seems like most of us are choosing for Edge of the Empire content anyways, just because it fits the theme that we're going for.
The main reason that I opened it up is there's so many other species in the Age of Rebellion books. And then, like I said, or like I was talking to Rick, a lot of the stuff in Age of Rebellion, you can just take the rebel soldier skin off of it and apply it to guy who only cares about himself and staying alive. Like, you can get the soldier from the core book for Age of Rebellion and then just go, I'm an ex-soldier. I was part of X, Y, or Z
Right.
military or faction and realized that it was not doing it for me. And now I have the ambition to have my own ship, run with my own crew, instead of being part of the war or part of whatever military on whatever planet.
And Chadra Fan actually came from an Age of Rebellion supplement as well.
Yeah.
That's what I'm playing.
We're going to have to hear your awesome Chadra Fan voice, by the way.
I might get a Rocket Raccoon soundboard. That'll take care of it for me.
I'm going to need that guy's arm.
I'll start doing voices if you start doing voices.
My Tabaxi Barbarian in my main Tuesday night D&D stream actually has almost like a Russian accent sometimes. He talks almost like a Khajiit in Skyrim mixed with like a Eastern European, Ukrainian, Russian guy, and it's pretty terrible.
It adds to the character of it.
But he talks like the Khajiit from Skyrim in the fact that he never says I or me. He always refers to himself in the third person.
This Tabaxi.
Well, his name is Rain Against Cliffs. So
Oh no.
he always says, Rain thinks that we should, and then whatever, instead of just like, oh yeah, I agree. He always will be, Rain agrees, or Rain thinks this is suicide, or whatever.
You have to say Rain against Cliffs think this is suicide. You got to do the whole thing.
No. I'm just a little bit hurt that we ended up picking. I don't know how much you know about Tomb of Annihilation, but you get like a guide for the jungle, and there was a pair of tabaxi guides, and I really wanted them to like be our guides, so that it would be me getting to constantly play with the two tabaxi NPCs. But we ended up doing one of the dwarfs who was cheaper and easier to hire because he would help us if we just helped him. And we didn't have the money for River and Flask. But River and Flask seem like such fun characters. They even ended their little like introductory spiel with their River and Flask are up to the task.
The sales pitch.
Yep.
I know almost nothing about Tomb of Annihilation. I know it has zombies, I know it has dinosaurs, and I know it has zombie dinosaurs.
I have fought zombies, I have fought dinosaurs, and I have fought zombie dinosaurs. And I must let you know that my 7-foot-tall cat person has also contracted lycanthropy from a wereboar.
Oh. So the cat is going to turn into a pig.
Yeah, I am man cat pig. I think we're down. I missed last session because I was working the launch, but last I heard there was 5 days until the next full moon, so I'm guessing that we're somewhere in the 2 to 4 days until the full moon comes up and I get to find out what happens to me.
Get turned into bacon.
Yep. But I love making puns, and I'm sadly not a bard, but even my barbarian is still making terrible, terrible puns, and I make terrible, terrible puns out of character. So, just little things like, Rain assure you that it will most likely be a very boring transformation.
That's good.
And
I like that.
That's why when Rick linked that thing that says competitive D&D, D&D is a competitive game. It's a race to see who the first person to get the DM to say fuck you is. And my DM is always telling me fuck you. I've been staring at these 25 points for like 25 minutes now, and I still haven't spent them.
You're further than I am. I've got 50. I might just bump agility up to 5. Just be done with it.
Yeah. Perception.
Who needs skills, right?
Yeah, the rest of the party is skilled. You can just stand in the back and make a thermal detonator using all the points, pieces of the droids that they destroy.
Just use a rock. Pretend it's a thermal detonator. It's a lot cheaper.
Okay, so it's an additional 5 XP for a non-career skill. 5 times plus an additional 5. I guess I'm going to give her perception, and 5 times 1 plus 5 is 10. And 5 times 2 plus 5 would be 15. I could give her 2 ranks in perception.
On this Roll20 sheet, is there anywhere to put talents? Or does that just go in the notes section?
You raise valid questions that I have not yet explored.
Oh, it's under combat. Under combat. It's a weird place for it, but okay.
Yeah, especially since not all talents are combat related. Some of them can be social. Yeah, I don't look forward to transposing this from the PDF to Roll20, but I figured it's easier for me to build it in the PDF and then reference. Fuck it. 5 times 2 plus 5. She gets a second perception for 15 XPs. You know what? No, because I did not go look at the talent trees. I don't. See, this is why I'm GMing, so I don't have to build characters, because I suck at it. Remind me how the trees work again. Do you have to follow the lines, or do you have to buy something in each tier?
You have to start at the bottom and you can work your way up, and that's really all I know about it.
That's
Like for Marauder, I'm assuming you could go toughened, feral strength, toughened, lethal blows.
Mm-hmm. I just didn't know if you could do toughen, feral, toughen, lethal, or for example, heroic fortitude, whether you had to have the things adjacent to it to get it. But I think that just means you could go feral strength, heroic fortitude, or frenzied attack, toughened, heroic fortitude.
I believe that you just need one thing connecting it.
Okay. Well, I feel like she could use some feral strength. And what about lethal blows? Plus 10 to critical injuries. Honk. Man, I could totally get her a second toughened real quick. Alright, screw it. I'm gonna do toughened and feral strength for her 15. Unless you think she should have knockdown to spin triumphants and knocking things prone.
Knockdown versus toughened?
It would be lethal blows and knockdown versus toughened and feral strength. But I feel like toughened and feral strength get immediate use.
Yeah, I would go for the extra toughness.
Yeah, toughened and feral strength is what we're doing then, and that's the final 15.
She's going to be the only tank on the team.
Everybody hide behind a lady. That brings her up to 17 wound threshold.
I'm at 10.
Don't get hit.
Oh, wait. I just spent 5 points on toughened. I'm at 12.
I'm gonna have to like print out the talent tree thing and check boxes for my own sanity.
Yeah, I'm tempted to do that as well.
I know there's other things that like just list all the talents out and stuff, but I feel like having the talent tree attached to her character sheet will help her more than just having the talents listed.
Oh, for sure. Being able to visualize it.
Alright, I'm moving on to gear and equipment. Actually, I need to go read about obligation.
As long as you have one link to the talent, you can acquire it.
Thank you. That is super important.
and then any talent in the first row.
So recommended starting obligation is 10. So I can get 10 more XP. I can get 2,500 starting credits. Let me go look at gear then.
Gear was actually what I picked before I picked my species and my specialization, because there were so many options. Like that database link I sent you,
Yeah.
I would not have been able to decide without that.
Makes sense. So you get 500 credits, and then you can obligate for 2,500 credits, so that's 3K. Right?
Yes.
I kept clicking on gear and appearance and not going to chapter 5, so I was wondering why I wasn't finding the tables.
She's going to have to actually buy clothing since she's not a Wookiee.
Hey. But
I
what?
read that it's okay for Chandra fan to go nude, so
Got it.
might just let it all hang out.
I guess I should just give her the old Vibro Axe, huh?
You know she likes it.
It's 3 damage, 4 encumbrance. It's got 3 hit points for modification. Only costs 750, so that's almost 1,000 out of her 3K. What rarity are you allowed to buy?
I do not remember. I can look it up here in a second.
Yeah, you look that up while I read. I feel like if a starter set character can start with a Vibro Axe, that a normal character should be able to, but the starter set's really weird in some of the things that it doesn't do in accordance with the damn rules of the system, which is weird for a starter set.
Yeah, I think they were trying to just make iconic characters, not characters that are actually allowed. Because some of those characters had more than 500 credits worth of equipment.
Like the axe that costs 750? You don't say.
They may not purchase restricted items that has the R next to the price. And then that is the only boundary, it looks like.
Okay, then she gets a fucking axe.
The rarity comes into play when you're trying to buy it in-game.
Thank you. I haven't actually bought equipment in-game before. It's all been one-shots, which were focused on, like, doing stuff, not on shopping.
And when you're done buying equipment, you roll 1d100, and you get to use that as starting money.
Can I roll 2d10 instead?
No.
Damn. Oh wait, I'm the GM. I can do whatever I want.
I see how it is. The GM's wife gets the rules bent.
So if I buy the Vibro Axe, she cannot get laminate armor, so she can't be a stormtrooper.
Yeah, it's expensive.
But she can get padded armor. Padded armor is 500, which is got a higher soak than armored clothing, but armored clothing comes with a hard point, which I feel like won't come into play.
I mean, if you're okay looking outside the core rulebook, there are more options too.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the EOTE book. I haven't looked at other ones yet. Do you have a decent armor somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500, or no more expensive than about 1,500?
Here I'm looking at that database.
Oh yeah, I linked the damn thing, and I'm not even using my own resources.
Mechanics utility suit, hauling harness, armored clothing would probably be your best bet. That's 1 defense, 1 soak for 1,000. Or just a half vest. Looks like it does the same thing.
Also for 1,000?
That's 500. The half vest is from Keeping the Peace and Force and Destiny.
You can get a pit crew coverall. Or an armored flight suit.
I guess the half vest is almost comparable to the padded armor in the core rulebook. 1 defense, 1 soak versus 0 defense, 2 soak.
I might just give her some padded armor, but we'll see. What the hell is GMRDL on this?
GMRDL.
That's what it's written under the book, and I can't tell if that's just some homebrew bullshit.
Which item are you looking at?
If you scroll down to medium, you'll see lots of GMRDLs. I'm on the Dropbox thing that I linked in the references channel.
They're all tiny URLs. I don't know which one's Dropbox.
The one that's armor.
Oh, got it.
We're talking about armor, Steven. We're talking about armor.
Yeah. So the Mandalorian armor is listed in no disintegrations, but I don't know what GMRDL is.
I don't know. Stand by. I have to look up something real quick.
Roger.
Sorry, I had to look up car loan stuff.
Somehow I think I can find it in my heart to forgive you.
I think I'm gonna just give her some armored clothing.
It's the only real option, isn't it?
1 defense, 1 soak for 1,000. Fuck it. Yeah, we're doing that. Remind me how defense works.
I can't remind you of that because I don't know. I've not gotten that far.
Defense, or more specifically defense rating, is one of the factors to determine how difficult it is to land a successful attack during combat. Defense rating represents the abilities of shields, armor, or other defensive systems to deflect an attack entirely or absorb or lessen incoming blows. Defense rating is most commonly provided by shields, and as such is usually limited to vehicles and starships. Didn't that armor just tell me I got a defense rating?
Yes, it did. To be fair, most armor does not have a defense rating. Just the expensive stuff.
Sorry, the chart after that had nothing to do with defense. It was spending advantage in combat. However, characters may gain defense rating either through talents that increase their ability to dodge or absorb blows, or armor designated to reflect and diffuse shots, or even expensive personal shield generators. A character adds a number of setback die equal to their defense rating to all combat checks directed against them. So I think the defense rating in this case is better for her than the soak, because I would rather a setback die go into the pool of people, rather a setback die go into the pool to help make the attack not hit at all, rather than the soak.
But a setback die doesn't have failure on it, does it? I thought it just had threat on it.
Let me go get one. You raise valid points if that's the case.
Here, I got it on the book.
It's blank blank, fail fail, threat threat. It's got 2 of each symbol.
So that would be worth it then.
So 1 soak will always reduce any damage that happens. So the choice here is between a 2 soak armor and a 1 soak armor and a 1 defense armor. So 1 soak will always soak up 1 damage. 1 defense has a 2 in 6 or 1/3 chance of being another fail in the target not hitting you at all. It has a...
Which doesn't necessarily mean that it won't hit.
Right.
It's just likely to hit.
Right. So you play the spiky game of, okay, 1 soak will always soak 1 damage. If something hits me for 3 damage, a soak will always reduce 1 of that. The setback die gives you a 1/3 chance of getting another failure in the pool. And if the failure happens, then you could take no damage, which would help mitigate some of those things where like a bigger rifle is doing 7 damage and the soak would only soak 1 of that, whereas if you could make it fail, you would negate the 7 entirely. However, there's also a 1/3 chance of the setback die doing nothing, and a 1/3 chance of the setback die only giving you a threat.
So realistically, I'd say that the setback die means they'll miss maybe 1/5 of the time because of it.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it depends on who's shooting you in with what. I'm going to give it to her so that we have somebody with a defense in the party so that we can remember that that's a rule and we have to force ourselves to do stuff.
See if it actually helps.
Yeah, and then we can math whether your lack of a setback die does whatever. Plus, it'll be something cool she can do. She can go, nuh-uh, remember, and then throw a black die in the pool.
That honestly does sound better than just taking 2 off the top. Being able to say every time someone shoots at you, don't forget it's harder to hit me.
Yeah.
Even if it never actually
seems
works.
cooler, even if it's mathematically. I'm sure that there's threads of nerds out there arguing the math on it, and I'm sure we could sit and figure it out. But I think that there will likely be more than one character with only soak in the party, so I think it'll be cool to have somebody with the defense.
It would probably help out more with her as well. Having the high brawn means that she can take the extra damage until that kicks in.
Yeah,
compared to someone with low HP.
The high hit points to soak the hits that do happen.
To weather out until the hit doesn't happen. But hey, I've got 12 wounds, so it's not like I'm a pushover.
Yes. Plus, it has a hard point. What's the worst that could happen?
We're going to have at least 2 mechanics that can upgrade it for her. I'm assuming Rick is going to put some stuff into mechanics, talking about how he was going to boost ships as well.
Yeah, I thought so.
I think I'm going to push Leah not to worry about mechanics. That way she'll have a few extra points for
talking and flying.
Yeah.
And then she can use her spillover ones into vigilance, cool, and other things.
Right.
Alright, a Vibro Axe is a +3 damage, crits on 2. I don't believe this is the same fucking axe that the starter set had either.
How much does a thermal detonator cost?
Oh god.
I just feel like it'd be handy to have.
Famous last words.
It's restricted. It's restricted.
They know.
It's okay. I can buy 40 frag grenades for the same price, so that might be a better option.
Pierce 2, Sunder, Vicious 3.
I still don't know all the encumbrance rules, but from the few I've read, I appreciate how it works.
I kind of like it.
I mean, it makes sense, like, instead of just going by weight, if you have a giant bowcaster on your back, it's going to be a bit more unwieldy than a medium-sized blaster. And it also helps deter the unlimited backpack space that D&D promotes.
Yeah, where you can pull 15 shovels out of your backpack.
Right. Or you just have 1,000 odds and ends because they all weigh less than a pound, so you don't have to add them together.
Chip. I'm reading all the cool things her axe can do. So it has Pierce 2, like the one in the starter set, so it ignores 2 soak. It has Sunder. When activated, the attacker chooses one item openly wielded by the target, such as a weapon, shield, or item on a belt, and that item is damaged 1 step to minor if undamaged, from minor to moderate, or from moderate to major. If a weapon is already suffering from major damage and sundered, it is destroyed. Sunder requires an advantage to activate. If activated multiple times in the same attack, each can be applied against the same weapon, potentially taking a weapon from undamaged to destroyed.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, she can literally chop people's fucking pistol barrels off.
When you were first reading that, I was thinking, oh, that's going to be useless taking multiple turns. But then you finish saying it can all happen in one turn.
You get all these advantages. You can now choose, do I want to apply a critical injury to this target, or do I just want to disarm them?
Which, let's be honest, with Ashley, it's always going to be the critical injury.
Yeah, maybe. But it does have Vicious, and Vicious is, when this weapon scores a critical injury or hit, the character adds 10 times the Vicious rating to the critical roll. Her Vibro Axe has Vicious 3. So, the example with Vicious 3, for example, the victim adds plus 30 to their critical hit result.
Yeah, I was looking at that because I was looking at a Disruptor pistol. That's a Vicious 4.
Yeah, so she can chop the guy's gun in half, but she could also dump all the things to get a crit hit and then add 30 to that crit hit. How many other weapons does she need? I'll give her at least a pistol. I've only spent 2k out of 3k.
You're so much further in your character creation than me.
I'm better at this game than you are. Ha 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 ha.
I hope so. You're the DM. I'm sorry, GM.
Mm-hmm. You better recognize.
All right, so item inventory has the armor, cybernetics, tools, but weapons are under combat. Got to remember that.
I don't know what you just said.
I'm talking about the character sheet. The weapons are under combat, and then the rest of your equipment's under item.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna bump her up to a blaster, not a light blaster. It's only 100 more. What's encumbrance? Brawn plus something.
I do not know.
I will go look so that we can keep learning things.
Page 152. Here, I'm almost there.
I'm there.
Oh. Sorry.
I want you to catch up since you're so far behind.
Oh, I'm not going to. That's a lost cause.
Living beings generally have an encumbrance value of 5 plus their brawn.
So I have an encumbrance value of 6.
Remember that certain things are more bulky when you're not wearing them, though. So, like armor, if you're carrying armor around, it takes a bunch of encumbrance, but once you put it on, not so much.
Right. But I already told you I'm going to be flying around in my birthday suit.
It happens. She spent 8 of her 9 encumbrance, but I forget how wearing the armor works, so I have to verify that. I hate when a book says, we'll discuss this more later, but doesn't tell you where. We'll discuss the value of armor encumbrance when it's worn later.
Well, what else do you need to know? It'll happen later.
Apparently. Each armor set has a listed encumbrance. This is the encumbrance value of the item when it's carried. However, armor is designed to be worn, and when worn, its encumbrance value decreases. Reduce the encumbrance value of all armor by 3. Remember that.
Of all armor by 3 when worn.
Yep.
That really covers most of it then.
Yeah, so only like laminate and battle armor in the EOTE book is not free, basically.
Yeah, it looks like overall there's there's 2 8 encumbrance armor, and that's the highest. Mandalorian armor is a 6. But then there are hard points that you can reduce that.
Yeah.
So, can I get some Hut Shell armor for my Chowder fan?
Can you afford it?
I mean, it says restricted with permission from the GM. So I was assuming I didn't have to afford it. I just needed permission for the GM. It's not that expensive. I mean, I'm like a 7th of the way there.
No. I'm going to go with no. I'm also going to grab a drink real quick.
Roger, Roger.
Need anything while I'm in the kitchen?
Yeah, grab me one of those LaCroix.
You're a terrible person. I think I'm almost done. I have to buy incidentals. I don't know if you have to pay for comm links or whether I, as a GM, can just say everybody has a comm link.
I said sundries were allowed. I don't know if that counts as a sundry or not.
Well, that'll be an adventure for when I get back. I'm back.
Hello.
I am texting pictures of the yard to the landlord, though, so I have been distracted from Star Wars. The Whiff and I were discussing what a terrible job the gardener's been doing, which is supposed to be like covered by the rent. And she's like, yeah, this week I was downstairs and I was actually at the front door when he pulled up, sat for a couple of seconds in the driveway, and then drove off without doing anything, so the yard didn't get mowed.
Oh,
And
no.
unprompted, I got a message from the landlady today that's like, what are your thoughts on the gardener? Is he doing what he's supposed to be doing? And since our landlords have multiple houses, I'm wondering if one of the other people that he's
Complained about the same thing.
Yeah, so I did the like, we were actually just talking about him yesterday. So, like, I'm not trying to, like, say he's a terrible person, but the entire time that
He just sucks at his job.
Yeah, he sucks at his job, right? Like, I haven't worked as a gardener, but I have gardened my own yards previously, and I feel like as a person who gets paid to do that, I should not have to constantly leave him hints that he sucks at his job. Because I still have all of my tools and stuff from when we kept up the mimosa house. So there are times where I will walk out and go, man, that bush in the backyard is super overgrown. And then I will trim a third of it and leave all the trimmings on the ground because I'm a passive aggressive asshole. And so when he gets to the house, he has to clean up the stuff that I cut before he can mow the yard. And then he sees the 1/3 trimmed bush and goes, well, fuck, I have to cut this now.
That's funny. It's an asshole thing to do, but I love it.
I'm an asshole. Yes, that's why everyone comes to this RPG stream, to hear passive-aggressive gardening tips. Ah, the renting life.
I don't know anything but it. Never owned a house myself.
Me either, and I'm not going to buy one as long as we're in California.
I've had so many people tell me since I'm in California, I need to buy a house because the price is only going to go up. And I say, well, what about in 2008 when the price went down? Oh, that won't happen again. It's just going to keep going up. Okay, but what about when it doesn't?
Granted, if I had bought a house at up north when we first got there, I could have sold it for 50 or 60K more. But I don't know if all the giant nightmare was really worth it for me.
And that's how I feel too. I mean, okay, you make a profit, but what happens when you need to move in a month and you don't sell it for 4 months?
Yeah, which would have been what happened if I could not have got rid of the house before I came here. I would have been eating the $2,200 a month, paying double
Exactly.
rent.
And we move so often. Like Santa Cruz is the longest we've stayed in a city since we come to California, and we left for 3 months. So I don't know. Just not ready to buy a house, I guess. I'm not an adult yet.
I'm ready to buy a house. I'm just ready to do it in a state where I can go, okay, I will have this house forever. If I buy a house in Arizona, no matter what happens, like, afterwards, I can always go, well, fuck it. Until we figure out what we're going to do, let us retreat to the house in Arizona, think about life, and then move from there. And I can continue to rent it out.
At least you wouldn't have a garden to worry about in Arizona. You could just leave the house.
Dude, Arizona rock landscaping is the way to go. I don't care what
Absolutely.
anyone says.
I always said I would do it in Indiana if I owned a house.
I would do
Everyone
it.
else would have green grass. I'd have rock.
I said that when I was in Alabama too, because we had 12 acres of grass in front of the house that consistently needed to be mowed.
Yeah, that sucks.
And I was all about till it under, dump some gravel on top of it, and call it a day.
Yep. About twice a year, you spray some weed killer and you're good.
Yep. Again, this is Star Wars RPG gardening tips. Alright, I'm going to start transferring some of this shit to Roll20. Oh my god, I have so many tabs open.
Do you know the rules for weapon modifications?
There is a thing in the resources channel that kind of breaks it down using screenshots from the book and colored arrows.
I've read the rules. I think I understand the rules.
Go look at the thing in the resources channel that uses circles and colored arrows.
Armor and weapon customization. That's probably it. That's not it.
Did I link the wrong one?
Okay, I found it now. There's 2 weapon customization links.
Oh, no. One of them is an index list for buying weapon customizations, and one of them is a reference for weapon modification.
I got that now.
Does that totally not MS Painted thing help you in any way?
It confirms that I did know the rules. Yes.
Yeah. So Blaster Pistol has 3 hit points, which means that you can put a total number of modifications that take up to 3. So the example there has 3 1 hit point modifications, but you could do like a single 3 hit point modification.
Right. And the gun I bought has 4 hard points. So I was planning on heavily modifying it. I mean, that's my character. I'm a gun tinkerer.
Upgrade her axe.
If she gives me the 100 credits, I will do my best.
Looks like she spent...
Well, you have to buy the mod, and then it's 100 credits to upgrade the mod.
Yeah.
Or attachment.
I'm mathing here. She spent 1,000 on the armor, 400 on a pistol, 750 on her axe. So that's 1750, 250, 2150. So she's got 850 credits to buy incidentals before...
850, that's pretty good.
Where is weapon modification shit in the book?
It's at the very end of the equipment list. Page 186. I'm sorry, 88. I've read that wrong.
Thank you.
If she buys the attachment, she can just slap it on there. She doesn't need a mechanics check. The mechanics check is only if you modify the attachment.
Oh, okay.
They don't do a very good job explaining these attachments in the table.
Yeah.
Like what they go on.
Models include... Okay, well, how many fucking attachments?
You could file the front sight off her Vibro Axe.
Of course. Vibro Axe, melee, 3 damage, crit, engaged, encumbrance. It has 3 hit points. And
Hard points.
3. Yeah, hard points, sorry. 3 hard points. But it doesn't... I wish there was just a list of, like, These are the ones that fit this thing.
Yeah, the Villupo.net allows you to look at attachments just for weapons. Oh, that still wouldn't help with the. Never mind. It splits it up between lightsaber and weapons and armor. So that doesn't do anything for you. Never mind.
Here we go. Melee and brawling weapon attachments and mods. Custom grip. Oh, all the prices are kind of expensive. Except the bludgeon weapon shit, which is really cheap.
Just putting a heavier weight on your mace is all that is.
I can make it magnetic so that she can recover it as an incidental if she drops it. Nope.
That's cool. Captain America's shield.
Yeah, there's nothing really aside
Or
from a custom grip.
Mjolnir.
As it turns out, there's lots of modifications for pistols, not so much for a laser axe.
They list backpacks and utility belts, but not bandoliers. So Wookiees are out of luck.
Yep. Yep, that's fine. That's fine. She can have a standard axe for now. You don't need the best fucking weapon right out the gate.
I do.
I mean, you do, but you're a Shadra fan who's clearly compensating for something.
I did write that I was overcompensating on my character sheet. You said encumbrance was 5 plus brawn, right?
Yeah, for most humanoids it says. some species may have abilities that modify that, I think. I need to go read the defense section just to make sure I understand that the one defense she has applies to both range and melee, but I don't see why it wouldn't.
I'm assuming you don't care if I reskin my backpack as a bandolier.
I don't see why it would matter, so okay.
Increase the character's encumbrance threshold by 4.
As long as it mechanically does the same thing, yeah.
I'm just going to put grenades in it.
Okay.
Grenades have an encumbrance of 1, so I'll plop 4 grenades in there. Gotta make stuff go boom. And let's be real, backpacks just aren't as handy for grenades.
Man, the fucking starter set Wookiee had a Ahsoka 4. I'm trying really hard to figure out why.
All that hair.
Mm-hmm.
Ahsoka 4. That's crazy.
Yeah. Soak is discussed on page 207, but soak value is on page 31 and 94. Default soak value is equal to brawn rating. After determining the value, increase the character's brawn rating to increase. Additional soak value bonuses are often gained from armor. Okay.
So it had a brawn of 4 with no armor?
Yep. Look at that. I learned another thing today. See, this is why I'm like glad we're doing character creation and stuff, because so many of the little nitpicky things I did not know. So she's got a soak of 5. I really don't feel like she needed that additional soak of 6.
She didn't need the armor.
Yeah, so I feel like being able to randomly negate big attacks of like 7 or 8 damage with that setback die will be okay, and then she has enough soak
It'll
that,
definitely be more fun.
Yeah.
And if, average weapon does 6 or 7 damage, she's taking 1 or 2 damage a hit.
Out of her 17 fucking hit points.
Yeah, she'll be okay. It'd be more fun to just say, yeah, you miss.
Brawn 4, Agility 2, Intellect 2. The fucked up thing is, due to her race, she has a 3 cunning. So she's actually a pretty, like, clever axe brutal person. She's just not very presenty.
She's clever, she's just not subtle.
Yeah, clever girl. Piloting, resilience, survival, vigilance.
Now, why is it that frag grenades have 0 hard points?
I don't know. Fucking super glue some nails onto them.
Exactly. So it should have at least 1 hard point.
She's going to be no help if it comes to ship-to-ship combat. I mean, she's got a two ability die gunnery. She can't fly, she can't shoot. Y'all might as well, like, let her get in a spacesuit and jump out of the airlock at the enemy craft.
She would do more damage. That's funny. But she can be looming over us as we're fighting, right?
Right.
To intimidate the enemy.
Mm-hmm. She also has just 2 in every knowledge skill, so... $59, huh?
That's my starting credits. Solidly average.
I'll take 82.
Show off. I do still have 1,300 to spend. Maybe I should get armor. Or should I just get another gun? Tough choices.
Quick, how many hard points on a Vibro Axe?
I actually do have it up here.
3?
3, yes.
What page is that on?
161.
What's the rarity?
Rarity is 5.
Value is 750. It's all readable, right? 1 damage per success, ignore 2 soak. Vicious, I guess I could spell correctly. Vicious 3, Sunder. I know that the +1 damage per success is just a known fucking thing, but I feel like putting it in the qualities will help remember that that's a rule.
Yeah, I do that with stuff too, just for the visual reminder.
Do you know how to do token actions for your weapons and stuff?
No.
Do you have a weapon on your sheet?
Yes.
Attack with a weapon on your sheet. Okay, so now in your... Actually,
Really?
I don't know if you can do it.
Only 1 success.
Yeah, but let's try. Hit the up arrow key with your cursor in the chat box. You get a big block of text?
Yeah, I got it.
So copy paste all that stuff. And then on your character sheet, go to the attributes and abilities page.
Add an ability.
Yeah, can you add an ability and click
Show as token action.
Slap all that shit in there. If, for whatever reason, you change your weapon, you will have to change that text box. It will not retroactively update. So you will need to either roll that weapon again to press up to get the text, or you will need to remember what you changed and go into here and change it.
Yep, it works.
Triumph!
That's the attack roll I wanted.
Hey, cool. I can see it on your token now.
4 advantage both time though, that's not bad.
That didn't get you 1 crit.
I put on an attachment that increases the damage by 1, but adds a setback die. And then I put on another attachment that removes a setback die.
Nice.
And I've still got 2 hard points on that weapon. So I can put more attachments on.
I'm gonna add her blaster pistol now. Let the Wookiee win. Still got that weapon page up to tell me what the rarity of a blaster pistol is?
Yeah. Blaster pistol is rarity 4. I was going to Google something, and then we got on the tokens, and now I don't remember.
I don't remember.
What was I thinking about before you interrupted my thought process?
Glowing nails to grenades.
Oh, catch fest.
The hell is weapon type on the Roll20 sheet?
Like energy weapon, slug thrower, thrown weapon, explosive,
Yeah, okay.
brawling melee.
Thank you. I didn't feel like swapping 47 windows around.
So I could get a cheap piece of armor that gives 2 soak, but it's only against energy weapons and 1 soak against everything else. And I feel like that's just too much of a pain to remember.
You're a terrible
So despite
person.
it 2 soak for 300, it's not worth it.
What's the armor?
The Catch Vest from Sons of Fortune, the Corellian source book. I'm assuming it's supposed to be like the same vest that Han Solo wears.
I'm assuming. It's so great against laser pistols.
I never got hit.
That's because he went with one that had a defense rating, not soak. What else do I need to do in the Roll20 sheet? Talents. I need to remember her talents. Also
That's under combat.
Yeah. And armor is not under combat.
Well, you don't need it for combat. It's only to look good. In combat, you shouldn't get hit.
Alright, I think I'm done with everything on her character sheet aside from shopping for weird stuff.
Nicely done. What's her name?
Duh, that's not on me. Oh, no, I forgot. Talents. So the feral strength thing, right? Feral strength says add 1 damage per rank of feral strength to 1 hit of successful attacks made using brawl or melee skills. But that to 1 hit of successful attacks is weird language to me. Are there ways that you can get multiple attacks with a weapon on 1 turn and you only get to add feral strength to 1 of them? Is that what that's saying?
I know Bounty Hunter has a way to get multiple attacks, but it comes like at the very end of the specialization tree, like the special ability. So I'd assume there's a way to get more for a Marauder as well, but it might take a while.
To the talents chapter. Hey look, it says the same thing. The character deals +1 damage to 1 hit on all successful brawl and melee checks per rank of feral strength. Okay.
I guess you add it to them all.
Only on 1. On all. It's easy math.
So I decided to go with an even cheaper piece of armor that offers less soak. But then it says this armor gains +2 soak when the wearer suffers damage from a slug thrower or other physical projectile. So something else I have to keep track of. It's time to find new armor.
Yep.
Might just go with some robes.
Just put on some armored clothing.
Armored clothing was expensive though, wasn't it? Yeah, it's 1,000. I'm looking at like the 200 range here.
Time to be naked.
Time to be naked. All right, going heavy clothing. Offers 1 soak for 50 credits.
Take what you can get, I guess. I need a way to remind her that she gets feral strength, but I don't necessarily want to put it on the weapon qualities, but I feel like that's the only time it's going to show up.
Yeah, it wouldn't really work as a token action, would it?
No. I'm going to just put it on a damn Vibro Axe, I guess.
Just give her a sticky note.
You say that. Oh yeah, fucking can't use parentheses. Alright, so you just need to remember that her axe gets 1 damage per success, ignores 2 soaps, has vicious 3, sundering, and she needs to add feral strength to it. It'll be easy. All she's got to do is hit shit with a stick.
All she has to do is what?
Hit shit with a big stick.
That's what she's good at.
Alright, anything else for her character? Nope, I think that's about it for her. Oh, I needed to look up how defense works.
Yeah, let me know if I get any defense for being silhouette 0.
3194 206. Character's default ranged and melee defense is 0 if a character's defense value is listed simply as defense and not specifically defined by separate ranged and melee values. Then it applies the same value to both. Gained by wearing armor. You can also adapt a defensive position in combat. So yeah, her defense is 1 for both.
And that's from the armor.
Right.
Does being silhouette 0 do anything?
I don't know.
Let me try and look this up. Page 224.
No one in the starter set had defense armor at all.
Silhouette 10 is the Death Star. Silhouette 0 is Jawa or Astromech Droid or me. Doesn't say anything about what it's used for.
Silhouette is an abstract number used to describe a ship or vehicle size. It factors heavily into scale and is used to calculate the difficulty of attacking a target of different size. But
So I guess it's in space combat.
Your species has a silhouette 0?
Yeah. Because I'm the size of an Astromech Droid.
Yeah. What book is your species from?
Stay on Target, I believe. Age of Rebellion.
I'm getting kind of hungry.
You should go out to eat with your friend and get some seafood or something.
You're a terrible person.
Seafood sounds really good.
You do have a silhouette of 0.
All right, I'm gonna take a bit of a break.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that too. My stomach's growling. And I finished one whole character.
I finished half a character.
Do you have art, by the way? You're gonna use that one I linked?
Yes.
Okay.
The one that was the fan edit.
Okay, I will make a token out of that so that
Awesome.
you can be the first person that looks cool.
I'll be the only person that looks cool.
Yeah, you gotta upload your own. You can edit your character art, just not your token, right?
Bio info, edit. Yeah, I can add my avatar.
Yeah, do that. That way it's not tracked in my library of giant pile of art on Roll20.
Oh, well, that wasn't what I wanted.
But I'm gonna go heat up some curry, and I'll be back to do more later.
All right. See ya.
Fucking Rick never showed up.
Oh, he was eating breakfast.